Hey guys, Scott here. Thought I'd bring you our first little jaunt around New Zealand on the 16th of December 2023. Myself, my wife and daughter and dog Ziglet all decided to head over to the Martinborough area, the wine country of the lower North Island in New Zealand, and check out the area, its roads and countryside and such like. We stayed at a nice little holiday batch in Martinborough where they allowed the dog to stay as well, so that was great. We set off from Paraparaumu on Saturday afternoon. The weather was reasonable, a little bit drizzly but nothing too untoward, and we made our way over. I'd got there in reasonable time late Saturday afternoon and settled in for the night. We had a little tootle around Martinborough just to check it out. It's a nice little market town kind of feel with a large pretty town square and lots of on-looking pubs and restaurants and things where you can get a bite to eat and a drink to enjoy the evening. I rode my 23 Roadglide over while the girls and dog came across in the car. On the Sunday morning we checked out more of Martinborough and then went to a winery for lunch at the Three Little Words, where we enjoyed a vegetable platter between the three of us, and again the dog was welcome here too, which was great and made it a very enjoyable lunchtime. While there we picked up some of their little wine sets to support their winery, so that was an enjoyable lunch. After lunch was completed, we decided to head over to the east coast to check out a little beachside town called Riversdale Beach. I think we got there about 4 o'clock and parked up and had a little check out of the beach and the surrounding area. So today we've had a ride out from Martinborough where we stayed overnight, and we're now at Riversdale Beach, and we've stopped at the only little cafe in town, which is the Riversdale Beach store. We're here with Becky and Tracy. We came with the dog too, Ziglet. So we'll say hello to these guys. Hey Ziglet, how you doing? Zig. Ziggy! You're on camera, come on. No. Too interested in the water. So that's Ziglet. And this is the travelling crew. So yeah, we'll probably have a wander down and have a look at the beach, and then we'll be on our way back. Now, I've just had a quick wander down from where we parked the bike to where the actual beach is. So this is Riversdale Beach. Some guys out surfboarding. Very nice, normal sandy coloured beach. I was thinking about getting the drone up, but it's been a very windy day and I don't know how the drone will act in the wind, so I figured I'd just leave it, just do some static camera. So there you go. And of course the girls wanted to come and check out the beach with Ziggy. He loves a good beach run. Ziglet, where'd you been? Where have you been, Ziglet? Loves a good run at the beach. We headed back from Riversdale by a slightly different route, heading over to Masterton, and then once on Masterton followed the main Highway 2 back southwest, and then cut across the Remutakas and then back over to head north back to home and Paraparaumu. The weather starting off was fine, but once we got to the hills it was awful. On the ride over, on Saturday from Paraparaumu to Martinborough. I did trial a chest mount for the camera, but when I played back the footage it was way too low. All you saw was the fairing of the bike and a few trees to either side, so I canned that. So we're back to just a clip-on mount on the handlebar here this time for the GoPro, so we'll see how that turns out. The standard helmet mount that came with the GoPro doesn't suit my helmet. It's a Shoei Neotech 2 and it's got one of those clips and things at the front for lifting the front of the helmet up, so it doesn't actually fit too well. But I did do some googling and found that there's a one specifically for this helmet, so I've got that on order, so we'll give it a whirl when it turns up. We're just heading back through Riversdale here, heading back towards that little shop that we showed you earlier. Once we get there we'll hang a left and then we're heading out of the town. Just as a general thought on riding, in my youth I used to ride sports bikes, and with that came the usual feeling of needing to be the fastest thing on the road, needing to get your knee down around corners and treating every car in front of you as an obstacle to pass, some kind of point scoring tool I guess. That came with the typical speeding fines and occasional broken bones, and I eventually left sports bikes behind when I met my wife. And we decided that a sports bike wasn't going to be the best thing for travelling together, so we ended up getting a cruiser. And when we moved to New Zealand, we bought a Harley, and we haven't looked back really. My riding style has changed. I enjoy just cruising down the road, enjoying the countryside. I don't feel the need to be the fastest thing on the road anymore, and I feel much more relaxed in my riding. And I really enjoy it, so that's why I'm on a Harley. Oh, and for our international audience, this is New Zealand. We obviously drive on the left, and speed markers and such like are in kilometers per hour. There's the little shop, beach is on our right. We're turning left now and we're heading out of town into the countryside. Hope you enjoy the ride. The New Zealand countryside is very similar to the UK, although you will see some differences like palm trees, tree ferns or pongas as they're called here, and also a lot of flax. This trip was a little bit of a test of the gear. As said, trialed a chest mount, didn't really work for this bike. I have got another GoPro and I have got an Insta360 and also the drone as I mentioned. So we're going to bring you more footage of trips around New Zealand like this, visiting some of the interesting sites, perhaps some Lord of the Rings sites and such like, and other historical sites in the area and places to eat and stay. So I hope you'll find the channel interesting and you'll like, share and subscribe and come back and see us again. The building coming up on the left is a Maori marae. It's a communal and sacred meeting ground. Most rural villages and towns will have one of these. The road is a wonderful mix of sweeping curves and long straights as you travel through the rolling hills and countryside of this part of the Wairarapa. One thing I remember from when we first came to New Zealand was being impressed with how tall the trees were compared to the UK. Seems odd to say it. I guess we're just used to it now. As you travel around rural parts of New Zealand like this, For a guy from the UK, you feel like you're riding around an enormous national park, something like the Lake District in the UK, except you haven't got a road full of tourists in front of you. The roads are largely clear for the most part. These roads are even more enjoyable on a proper sunny summer's day, and I had hoped to bring you that kind of footage. Little did I know this was going to be the best part of the day's riding. The weather gods had something else in store for me once I got back to the mountain pass across the Remutakas. When we first had a look at the Roadglide at the dealer, I did find the heavy fairing at the front of the bike and the overall weight of the bike quite intimidating. Just lifting it up off the side stand was a bit of an effort. I'm not the biggest guy in the world, 5'9" and 80 kgs, and it was way heavier than my old 05 Fat Boy that the dealer had in at the time doing some work on for me. In the end, that day, we decided to instead buy a new Fat Boy they had in store, putting my old Fat Boy in as a trade-in. Amusingly, once we had the new Fat Boy, and I took Tracy for a ride on it, after about 30 minutes, she told me to get the Roadglide. The stock Fat Boy pillion seat and no sissy bar leaves a lot to be desired for the pillion. I did have a Sundowner rider and pillion seat and sissy bar on order with the dealer, but they were yet to arrive. And I wasn't going to give up the chance to get the Roadglide too. It did take a little while getting used to the Roadglide, but once you have it up and moving, that weight largely disappears, and it handles surprisingly well through these rolling, sweeping turns. That fairing keeps nearly all of the wind off, making for effortless travelling. The only thing I've suffered is a numb bum from a long ride of several hundred kilometres. And again, I have the Sundowner rider and pillion seats and sissy bar on order for this bike too. I've also got thoughts about getting some Wilbur's suspension and also a butt buffer seat pad just to make things a little bit easier. That fairing was going to be sorely put to the test once the weather worsened as we crossed the Remutakas. But for now, all was calm. Little did I know what I was heading into. Eventually, after a very enjoyable ride, we arrived at Masterton. This is a large, sprawling regional town servicing the greater Wairarapa region and has an urban population of about 23,000. It was founded in 1854 by the Small Farms Association, which was led by Joseph Masters, after whom the town was named. I had thought about stopping at Masterton for a refuel, but once we reached the town, I realised I still had plenty of fuel to keep going, so we just pressed on through. headed out of Masterton down Highway 2 towards Carterton, which is a small regional town with a population of about 6,000. The local council appears to have recently installed a wire rope barrier down the length of the highway, and this is met with a mixed response from the locals. This is a fairly long straight road with not much to see, so I'll skip forward a bit. One thing interesting to note about Carterton is that it has a modern Stonehenge, known as Stonehenge Aotearoa, which is located about 12 kilometres southeast of the town. Aotearoa is the Maori name for New Zealand, which I believe roughly translated means land of the long white cloud. I might have butchered that a bit, but I think that's what it is. Sadly, we didn't have time to stop and check it out this trip, but hopefully we'll stop by on another run out and share that with you then. I've added a picture from their website and we'll put a link in the description below. We left Carterton and headed on down State Highway 2 towards Greytown. Another largely long straight length of road with not too much to see. Greytown is a charming small town with a population of under 3,000. It's well known for its boutique shopping, restored Victorian-era wooden buildings, and plenty of cafes and restaurants. It's definitely worth a stop if you're heading through this way. We left Greytown behind and headed on southwest towards Featherstone. We'd started to experience some drizzle at this time, but the sun was also shining through, so we weren't unduly concerned. I guess this was just a foretaste of what was to come. another straight length of road towards Greytown. The GoPro battery ran out somewhere along this stretch, and fuel was getting low, so we did end up stopping in Featherstone to change the battery and refuel. Looking to the right, you can see some ominous grey clouds gathering over the hills, and that was where I was heading.
Stopped in Featherstone to change the battery and get some fuel. The weather has took a serious turn for the worst. It's really stormy, blustery, and the rain's coming down like unpleasantness. We're about to head over the Remutakas, so hopefully we'll make it in one piece.
The town of Featherstone was originally known as Burlings, after a chap called Henry Burling, who opened an accommodation house near the Maori settlement of Pai or Tumokai in 1847. The provincial government in 1856 surveyed the area for a town and named it after its superintendent, Isaac Featherstone. Featherstone now has a population of about 3,000 and is largely known as the gateway to the Wairarapa from the Wellington area. To its south lies a large lake known as Lake Wairarapa. The lake covers an area of some 78 square kilometres, but is relatively shallow with a maximum depth of about 2.5 metres. The road now climbs steadily, and is a series of twisting and turning corners including hairpin bends, with a mountain on one side of you and a cliff fall to the other. The road rises to its 555-metre summit over the Remutaka Range, and at its northern saddle is known as the Remutaka Pass. The twisting series of bends lasts for approximately 5 kilometres. The rain and wind are both picking up now increasingly, and I'm starting to feel the bike get pushed sideways by the wind, so I'm backing off my speed and just taking it easy. In sunny and dry conditions, the road is fun and challenging, but in these conditions I didn't feel like taking any risks. I just wanted to get over the pass safely in one piece. I've left the full edit of crossing the pass in the video. It's about 15 minutes long, so either enjoy the ride or you can skip towards the end and see the sign off. Cheers. that, the pass is behind us. We're back now onto more or less normal roads and motorways. I'll cue this footage forward a little bit and we'll catch up once we get back home. By this point I was totally soaked through and just glad to be home. See you in the next video. Cheers. Let it not be said that a bit of water spoiled our fun. Home in one piece.